Mr. Bean and the Mysterious Red Balloon. Once upon a time, in a bustling town full of quirky characters, lived the funniest man anyone had ever known, Mr. Bean. He was a bit clumsy and always seemed to find himself in the most unusual situations. One sunny morning, Mr. Bean woke up with a big smile on his face because today was Farmer's Market Day. Excitedly, he got dressed in his usual brown suit, grabbed his teddy bear, Teddy, of course, and headed out the door. As he strolled through the market, Mr. Bean's eyes caught sight of a big, shiny red balloon floating above a stand. It seemed to have a life of its own, swaying and bouncing in the gentle breeze. Mesmerized by the balloon's movement, he decided he had to have it. He approached the stand and traded a few coins for the enchanting red balloon. Happy with his new floating friend, Mr. Bean tied the balloon to Teddy's arm so that they could all enjoy the market together. However, things took a hilarious turn when a gust of wind blew the balloon, and it began to float away, taking Teddy with it. Panicking, Mr. Bean ran after them, dodging stalls and weaving through crowds, his arms flailing wildly. The chase led him into a series of comical mishaps. He stumbled over a fruit stand, sending apples and oranges rolling everywhere. He got tangled in a fisherman's net, and even scared a flock of chickens, which clucked loudly and scattered in every direction. Determined not to lose his beloved Teddy, Mr. Bean finally reached the balloon, which had gotten stuck in a tree. He climbed the tree, his legs wobbling like jelly, and carefully untied Teddy. With a sigh of relief, he held his teddy bear close and then climbed back down, clutching the red balloon triumphantly. As Mr. Bean walked back through the market, covered in feathers, fruit peels, and bits of fishing net, everyone couldn't help but laugh at the spectacle. Mr. Bean, always the good sport, gave a big, goofy grin and a wave. The whole town agreed it was the funniest farmer's market they had ever experienced. And from that day on, Mr. Bean's adventure with the mysterious red balloon was told and retold, making everyone laugh out loud. And Mr. Bean? He learned to keep a tighter grip on Teddy and always keep an eye on windy days.
Mr. Bean was feeling particularly mischievous one sunny afternoon. He wandered around the bustling park, his quirky green car parked haphazardly under a shady tree. Children were laughing, families were picnicking, and the ice cream truck was doing brisk business. Mr. Bean's eyes twinkled as he spotted the long line at the ice cream truck. He had an idea that would end with him getting the biggest ice cream cone anyone had ever seen. He shuffled into line, his face a picture of innocent anticipation. Upon reaching the window, he struck a deal with the ice cream vendor, promising a little extra if the vendor would make his ice cream as tall as possible. The vendor, amused by the strange man, agreed. The challenge was on. Scoops of raspberry, chocolate, vanilla, mint, and strawberry piled higher and higher, teetering precariously. By the time they reached the 10th scoop, the entire park was whispering and pointing at the towering ice cream cone. Mr. Bean's face beamed with pride. However, getting it back to his picnic spot was another story. He wobbled carefully through the grass, the enormous cone attracting envious and shocked stares. Suddenly, a mischievous dog darted out of nowhere, eyeing the ice cream. It leaped at Mr. Bean, who spun around trying to keep his balance. The dog, however, was persistent, and the more Mr. Bean dodged, the more the dog hopped and barked. Eventually, Mr. Bean slipped on a stray banana peel left by a picnic goer, sending the massive ice cream flying into the air. It spun and twirled almost in slow motion before landing squarely on the head of the statue in the center of the park. The whole park erupted in laughter, and even Mr. Bean couldn't help but chuckle at the sheer absurdity of the situation. The dog, now licking up the melted remains, looked utterly satisfied. Mr. Bean, his clothes and face smeared with all flavors of ice cream, gave a small embarrassed bow before hurriedly retreating back to his car. He learned a subtle lesson that day: sometimes, the simplest pleasures, like a single scoop, are the best. With a glint of mischief still in his eye, he drove off, the park's laughter echoing in his ears.